Hi, everyone. Welcome to this evening's pre-orientation session, What to Expect When Having a College Student. My name is Eva Reyes, and I'm the Director of Parent and Family Relations. To those of you that have joined us at previous sessions, it's nice to see you again. To those of you that are joining us for the first time, welcome. This is a space for you to learn a few things right before your student um, kind of immerses themselves into the full college experience. And I just wanted to provide a space where you could feel that the transition is going to be as smooth as possible. So with that said, I just have a few ground rules for you. So Jason, if you could just advance to the next screen. So at this moment, everyone should be on mute. This will allow us to get through the presentation as quickly as possible so that we could have some time at the end to answer your questions. The recording is in progress. The session is being recorded so that if there's anything that you would like to revisit, you can go ahead and do so. Or if there's like any members that didn't join us this evening, they could also watch the recording. Closed captioning is available. All you need to do is hit the More or Other button at the bottom of the Zoom screen and turn it on. If you have any questions as we go along, please ask them in the chat. We're going to answer all questions at the end of the formal presentation because it could be that as we're presenting, the questions may be answered as we go. And at the end, please provide us your feedback. We want to know what you think of the session, what future programming you would like for us to be able to deliver to you. That way, again, your transition to university life is a lot smoother. So Jason, if you could go to the next slide. So I already introduced myself. So I will allow Jason to introduce himself. Samantha is having technical difficulties trying to log in. So whenever she does join us, she'll introduce herself at that point. So go ahead, Jason.
Good afternoon or good evening, everyone. How are you doing? My name is Jason Greenhouse. I'm an academic advisor, retention specialist here. My goal is to make sure that your student graduates with whatever degree that they choose in the most fastest, efficient way possible while getting the most out of their time while here at William Patterson.
Thank you. So next slide. Okay. So change, growth, and new roles, right? As your student is transitioning to college life, if you join us in the past, you probably heard me say that your student is not the only one that is transitioning to college. As a family, all of you are doing that. Even if like your student is maybe like not the first one to go to school to college, right? Or they are the first one to go to college. If you went to college yourself, times have changed and times are definitely different than what they were when we were in school. So I just wanted to validate that your feelings, just as much as your students, are worthwhile, right? And it's all normal. It's normal to feel excited. It's normal to feel some sort of anxiety. It's normal to feel sad. You know, this is an exciting time for your student, but at the same time, they're going away from you if they're going to be living on campus, right? Or if they are going to be commuting, they are going to sorry, I'm just letting a few people in. They are going to be some type of apart from you, right? So having feelings, whatever those feelings may be, are very, very normal, and we understand them. So at this moment, if you could please drop in the chat, be honest. Tell us how you're feeling about, this whole experience about your child going to college, and then maybe we could just discuss those a little bit. So college is designed to help your student grow into independent status, right? We want them to be like whole grown adults where they're able to make well-rounded decisions and they're able to contribute to society in a manner where it's productive, right? So with that said, we as parents, we have to learn how to let go. And it's hard for us to let go when our student has, like we've had them for 17, 18 years, right? We've made every decision for them. And being able to kind of like let loose and allow them to be autonomous and allow them to um make their own decisions. Sometimes it's hard because at the end of the day, we just want to make sure that we're being protective, right? And that they're safe, right? So there's like a lot of things that come into play into why as parents we feel that way. But the important part here is that although we are trying to make sure that your student is building autonomy, your role is just evolving, right? Right now, you have a car, right? And in that car, you're in the driver's seat and you're able to see the whole road and your student is on the passenger on the co-pilot side, right? So as you're driving, like you're steering where like the conversations, you're steering the destination, you're steering so many different things. Now is the turn for your student to become the driver and for you to become the co-pilot, right? Um, I see some very like some very good emotions on the chat. And again, they're all validated. But going back to, this car analogy, right? So once they set foot on campus, you're going to be a co-pilot and you're going to have to ensure that although you may have some feelings, some reservations, certain things, sometimes we just have to let our students experience experience things on their own. If they fail, they fail. Um, but they have us to kind of like rely on, right? Where we are not judging them. Then as they progress throughout the years, we start to be so far removed from that driver's seat, right? So now we are the passenger. But guess which side of the passenger row are we on? We are on the back right side. So we still have view, right? We could still see our student. We could still see the destination, but they're on their own. They have to make sure that they make the right decisions. And that happens during the sophomore and junior year. Now, their senior year, you're no longer in the car, right? And I know it sounds like a little bit like, oh, wow, right? But your student is on their own. They're going to be going into the workforce shortly after that. So by then you want to make sure that your student is fully autonomous and is able to make their own decisions on their own and stand by them, right? So so some of the emotions that we're feeling right now is that we're very excited and anxious. Um, the idea of her being on her own in the real world scares me a little bit. I'm not being present majority of the day for her. It happens. You're not the only one. Very proud and excited, very overwhelmed. And this whole experience is going to be very, very overwhelming up until halfway through their first year because there are so many different things happening and changing all at the same time. But that's my job, right? To make sure that we ease that overwhelming sensation so that you could have all the tools and resources available, so that in turn you're able to share those with your student. Bittersweet, so excited yet nervous. She's probably more ready than we are, and she probably is. Again, like I said, as parents, it's just so hard for us to let go. Um, I'm I know exactly what you're going through. I have a sophomore in high school, so I know that some of the things that are happening to you, like I'm going through them. And as I also see like all our students that come in as first years and then they blossom by their fourth year, it's amazing what your students are going to do on campus. So remember that, right? Remember that you're so important, that you still have a role in your student's life, but it's just evolving and we have to accept it. So can you go to the next slide, Jason? Okay, so the shift to independence. In high school, our student, again, is very like reliable, like rely on us, right? If your student is like my student that needs frequent reminders or that wake up call in the morning where you wake them up 5, 6, 7 times and they're still not ready to go to school, their schedule is pretty structured, right? They either start 7 o'clock in the morning and it ends by 3. So they are like little robots, right? They know what they need to do all throughout the day, and they've been doing it for 18 years. So trying to get them out of that routine, it's definitely hard when we get to college, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. So during high school, you have direct communication with the school. You could call the school up. You could ask for information. They're going to give it to you. And they could discuss anything that you want to discuss. And the staff is going to reach out to you first. The teachers are the ones that are going to communicate. They're going to tell you, your student is not doing well. Can you talk to them? I got so many calls, good calls, positive calls, and then negative calls, right? And then I have to have those conversations with my son and say, listen, like what's going on in English? What's going on in math? But unfortunately, again, our shifts, our roles, they shift when students go to college, which is what we're going to discuss now. So during college, their schedule completely changes. And Jason and Samantha are going to talk to you a little bit later about lifestyle changes and things like that. But now they're going to have so much time and they could manage their own schedule. They could have classes whenever they want, in the morning, in the evening, on a Saturday, however they want to do their schedule. And sometimes that is hard for students to manage because they don't know what to do with all this free time. And although a schedule may look pretty on paper, it may not be the most conducive to their success. So everything starts to shift once they become college students because now they don't have that structure that they had during high school. The student is the one that initiates the conversation, not the parent, right? They have to be self-advocates. They have to go to the professors. They have to ask questions. They have to go to office hours. And the professors are not going to reach out to you. So if a student is not doing well, the student is the one that kind of like needs to make sure to make things happen, to find the resources in order to be successful and be able to kind of like get to where they need to get to. But the good thing is that you, as very well and involved parents and engaged parents, you'll be able to have resources and tools that if your student does go to you to ask a question or seek guidance, because that's what the role that you're going to be taking on now, you'll be able to direct them into the right direction and encourage them to self-advocate. But with all this self-advocacy and all these, you being a supporter, we still have to respect privacy laws within the federal government. So the FERPA is the Family Education Responsibility. Don't quote me too much on the whole thing, but it's a privacy regulation that the federal government has put in place so that we are able to protect the students' privacy.
It is
So go ahead.
the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act of
Yes.
1974.
Thank you, Jason. So within FERPA, the student can authorize you as someone that can ask questions on their behalf. So there are a couple of things that the student can grant you. They could grant you access to their academics. They could grant you access to their disciplinary records. They could grant you access to their academics. Um, and they could grant you access to their billing and payment and financial aid. While they could give you access to everything, they could only give you access to certain things if they want to, or they can give you no access at all. So the way that FERPA works is that the student will go to the WP Connect site. They would locate the FERPA authorization form. They will put in your name. They will choose a 4-digit PIN that they will share with you. During this time, the summertime, as your student is transitioning, any information that you ask of us, we are able to share them with you, because although your student is has paid the enrollment deposit and they are committed to enroll in the fall, they are technically not our student until they set foot on campus in August for the first day of classes. At that point, FERPA takes full effect. So if you're calling all summer, let's say asking about their financial aid or the bill, once the bills are assessed in July, and we are giving you that information, don't be surprised if on the first day of classes, then a representative is asking you for that 4-digit PIN. So my advice to you is to have a conversation with your student as to what are the expectations, right? What do they expect from you as a parent, and what do you expect from the student? As far as sharing information, who's going to take care of what, and when is that going to happen? Also, communication. How often should they be communicating with you? Because, students, because they have all this liberty now, right? Especially if they're living on campus, they forget. They forget that they have other people living at home. And the excitement of campus life and everything that's happening in their life right now may be maybe too much, right? For them to, sorry, just admitting some people in. So it may be too much, right? And sometimes they forget to call. I have had some family members reach out to me and say, I haven't heard from my student in over a week. And I'm like, okay, so let's figure out what's happening. So what I do is the first person that I connect with is their academic advisor. So if luckily they have Jason as an academic advisor, I'll reach out to Jason and I say, is Jose is in your class? Because by then I already know that Jose is in his class, right? And I'll ask, how is Jose doing? How is he in class? How is he engaging with other students? And depending on how that conversation goes, then I start to disclose certain things, right? Because it may come up in the conversation that Jose is not assimilating well to college life, and they're a little taken back, right? And Jason has already done the proactive actions that he needs to do to ensure that Jose is in a good state of mind, right? So within that conversation, it may come up, they haven't really engaged with anyone and they're not calling home. And then I don't have to say that, right? But then if that doesn't come up in the conversation, then I could just say, well, Jose's mom called and she's saying that he hasn't touched base with her in a while. So can you please have a conversation with Jose and let's make sure that he gives mom a call. I know a week is extreme, but we've gotten some situations where that has happened. If Jose is still not communicative, right? Then I could reach out to Residence Life. We could do a wellness check, make sure that the student is okay. And then again, we do tell the student, your family is worried. Please call them. So although there may be no FERPA on file, there's ways that we could kind of connect with the student and say, like it's all about, these expectations, right? And if you really have people back home or wherever that really care for you, then you need to make sure that you're doing those connections. But that doesn't always happen. These are the rare instances. So now that so something else about FERPA. So if the student does give you access to FERPA, and let's say they give you access to their academics, but they don't give you access to their financial aid or billing and payment, um, and you call and you ask that or let's say vice versa. They gave you access to billing and payment and financial aid, but they didn't give you access to academics. And and you call and you're like, "Oh, but I have this huge bill and I don't see the financial aid on it. What's happening?" Well, if the reason why, and we're going to have another session where we're going to cover this, and I hope that you're able to join us, where we're going to go more in depth. Um, if the reason why the financial aid is not on the bill, if the reason is because they're not doing well academically and their financial aid was taken away, because that student hasn't given you authorization to their academics, I can't tell you that that's the reason why. So again, transparency and having conversations with your students as to what the expectations are and what you would like to know, not what you should know, but what you would like to know, and ensuring that the student is able to give you that access. It's gonna, it's gonna be imperative to ensuring that your student is successful and that all of us are on the same page. And when we're talking about that, it's learning through choices and consequences, right? Um, if we make wrong choices, we're gonna find out what the consequences are right away, right? So again, setting those expectations and really talking about what are the things that we all need to be on the same page on is very important. So next slide.
Okay, ladies and gents, how's everybody doing? Oh, that's great. I see all your wonderful faces. That's awesome. Don't worry about it. I'm so happy to see you. So, we are going over the expectations, the myths, and the realities. So, oh, all right, Amber, you go clapping. So, here is what we are going to go over. All right. Fewer hours in the class. Just so you know, the standard is for every 1 hour in the class, the student should be studying 2 to 3 hours. This isn't, and I'm kind of old school. I had to be at school at 8 o'clock, 8:10 till 3:30. It's not like that anymore. This is where the students choose their schedule outside of their first semester, which is prepackaged. So they get the schedule given to them, so they have a good way to understand their transition and what to expect moving forward, to be proactive in terms of understanding what life is like. This isn't high school. You don't switch classes as much. You maybe have two back to back, in rare circumstances, three, but you have fewer hours of classes. Typically, classes are an hour and 15, meet twice a week. If they do meet 3 times a week, they're for 50 minutes. And then we have those evening hours, those lecture hours. And what do I mean by that? They're typically 2 hours and 40 minutes. Now, if any of your students are going to be art majors, please anticipate up to 5 hours of class time. And you guys are going to be like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. No, no, relax. I got you. They're actually drawing. So they're being taught how to draw. They're learning what to do. And just like that little icon, it says adulting, please wait. Yes, there are 4 dots for every year that you are in here. Now, here is the big thing. That syllabi, that syllabus, that gold piece of paper, like it's a Willy Wonka chocolate ticket that you get, right? That we equate to the Bible of our class. And it is the student's responsibility to make sure what is in there. What is in the syllabus, and I will tell you right off the bat, is the professor's name, email, office hours, but more importantly, the grading system of the class, the times that assignments are due, what kind of assignments, whether it's research paper, whether it's a presentation, group work, or quiz, an exam, anything like that, presentation, people coming in, that is when it is all written in the syllabus for them to know. The biggest thing professors expect, and I will tell you this, and from personal experience, because I have my daughter, my eldest, who just turned 19, and I'm very proud. She is just finished her last final today and finished her first year at college. So everything I'm explaining to you, and that Eva is, and that Samantha will be, I am living firsthand. And it sucks because I'm in the field and I have to take a step back. And it's really tough. But I say that because professors will have more than one class section, more than one subject that they are teaching, and this is where that myth that they are just a number comes into play because classes could be as small as 10, 12, as big as 30, 40, but long story short, they need to make sure that they are proactive to meet the professor so they could distinguish them from the next student. And this is what is different about it. Now, let me just get to the next slide. Common myths. Good students never struggle. One bad grade means you fail. Parents should manage academic issues, and professors are not approachable. Mm. If you guys could just either do a reaction or put in the chat if you have ever heard of these, or if you have ever heard of something that is not listed. And the reason why we talk these and we bring them up is for the simple fact I as an academic advisor, we also teach Willpower, which is the freshman seminar course. And we dispel and go over all these myths. So I am telling you, so it's kind of a cheat that I'm telling you because you can go tell your students what we're going to go over. Um, I will tell you that even though there are myths, there's always some kind of truth behind it because that's how it kind of spirals. Um, but there is support. And here is the reality. All right. Excuse me. Sorry, I clicked the wrong slide. Here is the reality. The struggle is part of the growth. In order for your students, and I say this again because of mine, in order for them to understand and grasp the difference between high school and college, they have to learn through trial and error. I don't know about you, but parenting is really hard in the sense you see them doing something that you did when you were their age, and you're like, no, 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 don't do that, don't do that. Don't go to that party. Don't do that. Don't eat that food. Don't do this. Don't date that person. We're not going there. But I say that because this is where they need to learn. The second fact is that advisors support students directly. Bing, bing, bing. This is your golden ticket that you could tell them. And you ready? Because from day one, welcome day, when they come to college, they meet me. Some of them may, but they'll meet other advisors. And what I mean by that, I am with you since day one to the time that you're at Prudential Center to graduate. So I am with you being your co-pilot, your navigate, your Siri, your AI, your chat GPT, whatever it is. I am there along your way. There is a success team that I come with, and that success team includes residence life if they live on campus, um, financial aid advisor, career services, and a bunch more, especially if they play a sport or they're part of clubs and organizations. They're all part of that, and they're all a click away through a Navigate app. But you will learn more about that during orientation. I just want to give you a little snippet about it. Um, but students need to develop, and they will, through willpower and everything, their help seeking to make sure that they get the resources, excuse me, and the info to be successful students. Now, please keep in mind, this may not be your student's first choice to go, second choice, third choice. It may not be. It is whatever you guys decide to come here. But understand that we offer the same exact experience that any other college or university will offer. It is whatever they want to do. And here is the best thing that I love because we are so close knit. I have a bunch of professors that I could rattle off right now, one, two, three, in almost every department that are amazing. And I'm not saying that to toot our own horn. We are pioneers. We like to blaze our own path. But I say that for the simple fact that if I reach out to a professor and I say, hey, your son, your daughter, I would like to talk to them because I notice that they're struggling a little bit or they have a question about an assignment, they know exactly who they are. And the first thing that they're going to say, please send them to my office. I will be glad to help them. Please have them come during my office hours. They're more than willing to help. They're very resourceful in the sense that they say, hey, we could go to the tutoring center, academic resource center. They could get the tutoring they need for the class. Everything is there to support them. The tools for success. We are very good, an analogy wise, to create a toolbox of success where through every case and instance and experience that they go through, they will know how to solve it. What I just need you guys to do is let them steer the bus and let them figure it out and build the puzzle. But with that, I'm going to transition now to Samantha.
Hi, everyone. I'm so sorry that I was a little behind before, so I'm back on the call here. So I just want to introduce myself first. So I'm the Assistant Director of CASTLE, which is the Campus Activity Service and Leadership Office. So as I like to say, the fun place on campus. So we work with student activities, orientation, Greek life, student activities board, community service, the works. Whatever you do outside the classroom, we probably have someone that touches that piece of that part of the student's experience. So I'm here to talk about student life and belonging beyond the classroom. So belonging looks different to every student. Friendship takes time and sometimes months. Involvement supports connection and leadership. And so ultimately, just to kind of hit on all these points, belonging can mean something different for every student, whether that's their time from what they did in high school to what they do outside of their time in school, what their family life looks like. Belonging is defined differently for everybody. So when they get to college, they're meeting people where they have to try to figure out who's in those spaces similar to them. And the friendships take time. It is not an immediate process. I will admit, as someone who went to college, I added a lot of people on Instagram right when I joined. I did not talk to them post that week, first week. I promise. You ignore. You're like, who are these people when you graduated? So it happens. You think you meet your first friends, and really meet someone else in the long run. So friendships take time, and sometimes months before you get connected to the people you're really interested in. And lastly, the involvement, supporting connection, and leadership. So, involvement is basically maybe joining a club, maybe joining community service, being part of Greek life, being part of whatever varying activity the student is interested in is a way to build connections because you're finding common interests with other people. And on top of that, you can also become a leader in those spaces because there's organizations that need e-board positions that provide you guidance on how to be a professional in spaces while you're also leading those who have similarities to you. You can go to the next slide. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the juicy stuff of the common misconceptions of college here. So let's just run through them and kind of debunk what we can here. So the first is freshman 15. Now, the biggest piece of this is, if you don't know what that is, it's basically this concept that you gain weight when you come to college. So the freshman 15. When I say that, so it's the important part to mention here is that each student's lifestyle is changing when they go to college. So this is kind of something Jason was talking about before and Eva was talking about before with their transition to getting to the university. Whether they're a commuter student, maybe their hours are different. They have class during dinner time, so they're driving and eating lunch before they come, or they're sitting in the car longer, so they're not maybe moving as much. For students who are living on campus, maybe they have a dining hall pass where they have now a lot of variety. And trust me, as a girl that was able to have crepes for breakfast every day, it was not my best decision in college. So just give your students that input. You have a big buffet all the time, and you kind of have to find that structure. So the freshman 15 thing is more of just figuring out the structure of yourself and like how you want to eat and be active. And students now having the free reign of doing that. Because when you're making dinner and you're picking the times, obviously it's a little more structured. Okay, the next one, having everything figured out right away. This is not true at all. And I always tell this story that I hated when people used to say college is the best 4 years of your life. It used to make me so panicked because I was like, okay, like, am I doing something wrong? Like, I'm still crying some days. I'm still calling my mom that I want to go home. Like, why is it that everyone's saying this is supposed to be the best time of my life? In reality, there's so much more that you could be doing post college, but also while you're in college, there are some days that are good, some days that are bad, because this is a transitional period. You're learning a lot about yourself and you're going to figure it out over time. If you were to say that I'd be sitting in this chair talking to you, I guess I'll age myself a little bit, about 6, 7, 8 years ago now, I would not tell you I was going to be in higher education talking to you all right here. I was going to be a lawyer and I was going to be in every government space I could be. And here I am. So things change and you figure it out over time. Now, the one that I really want to emphasize, because one of my specialties is Greek life. So I work with fraternities and sororities. If you don't know what those are, it's basically like social groups that you participate in. So more expansive clubs. So the idea of Greek life, people say it's all about parties. I want to debunk that right now. Greek life is not like the movies. It's not like Animal House. It's not like any of those scary movies that's all about partying. It's not that. I'm not saying it's for everybody, but Greek life has a lot of positive benefits that I'm happy to talk about as well. From career connections, from leadership opportunities to new friendships and more, and service, especially service. So it is an opportunity that students have on campus. There's nothing for me to do on campus. The likeliness is this is not true. It's just that students don't know where to find it. So students should be following accounts like Instagram, going on their Quirk, which they'll learn about, which basically shows all the events on campus. Pioneer Life shows all the events that the clubs are hosting. Just because a student doesn't think that they have something maybe that weekend in particular or that day in particular doesn't mean that there aren't stuff to do on campus. They might just have to dig a little bit to find it, because kind of like was mentioned earlier, they're not going to be handed all of the events because there's so many things going on that they might have to do their own digging or searching for those things. They also can start their own clubs. If they feel like there's something that's not fitting their niche, there's 100 and something clubs and they can still make another one. So there's a lot of opportunity to do things on campus. And lastly, I have to find my BFF right away. That's not true. It takes plenty of time. I know seniors who are graduating right now who are friends with sophomores they just met 3 months ago. And yes, they're very sad that they're parting ways at this point. But in reality, they met those good friends now later in time in college. It's going to vary. It's going to ebbs and flows. And that's the same way it was in high school. And it's going to continue on, as we all know. So just to quickly do the reality check, lifestyle changes are bound to happen. And that's something that's going to affect how they're kind of holding themselves. Exploration is encouraged. We want them to check out their different things on Instagram or on their Pioneer Life, their WP Connect, whatever that looks like. Even read the flyers that are all around campus, the posters that tells you what events are going on. Nothing is written in stone. They have plenty of time to change their majors, plenty of time to figure out what they want to do next, and plenty of time to meet new people. And lastly, students are going to evolve, and that's expected. Over time, the person they walked in, Willie P, is not going to be the same person they end. So ultimately, there's a lot of room for growth.
So what are some like tips and tricks that we could like tell you on ways that you can support your student without taking over, right? So what does help is asking open-ended questions, not yes or no answers, because they're going to be very limited and your communication is going to be shot right then and there. So as long as you're asking, what did you do today? You know, they're going to be able to tell you, oh, so I went out to the dining hall with so-and-so, and then you'll be able to have like a lengthy conversation on that, right? But like if you say, did you have a good day today? They could say yes or no. So then at that point, you know, again, that's it. The conversation ends there. Encourage your students to use campus resources. Their tuition pays for a lot of things on campus. So like it pays for the Student Government Association. So they are able to take full advantage of all the clubs that are on campus. They are able to use the facilities. So like the library for free. Well, not for free because again, it's included in the tuition. But they're able to use tutoring. They're able to use the gym, right? They don't have to like join a gym outside of the school. They could just go to the facility there. Um, they're able to use the counseling health and wellness. So instead of having your student go home to the doctors, they could just visit the center over, and they have prescriptions there. They have a physician there, and they'll be able to give them medicine if they need to. And if they need to transfer them to a hospital, they'll do so at that time. But again, all these resources are available. But like Samantha said, they just have to dig for them. But the good thing is they have like their academic success team, they have advisors like Jason, who are able to get them in touch with all those different resources so that they don't feel like they don't know who to turn to. Letting students solve appropriate problems, so we have to kind of like distinguish what is an appropriate problem, right? Is completing the FAFSA by the deadline something that you can assist them with, right? Definitely yes, because they're going to need your financial information. But if you're having a conflict with your roommate, if you're living on campus, like, is that something that you're going to solve for them? At that point, the student should really be having conversations with the roommate. If that doesn't work, then they should be having conversations with the RA. If that doesn't work, then the RD. So allowing students, again, to take autonomy to solve their own problems without you having to take over is going to make them much more successful. And just listen. Listen to what they're saying before reacting and trying to fix things, because most of the time they're giving you the answers in the conversation. They're probably telling you this is what I should be doing in order to fix XYZ. What should you be avoiding? Comparing them to others. They don't want to for you to say, but your cousin in whatever state, they're doing so great. And then like, what are you doing? They don't like that. You taking control too quickly of the situation, like you should really just try to avoid that, because again, we want to encourage them to do things on their own, because that's what's going to happen once they stepped into the workforce. You cannot expect that they're going to adjust instantly, just as they can't expect for you to adjust right away. Like I said before, you've been with them for 18 years, seeing them all day, every day, and this is not going to be happening anymore. So just making sure that you both have room to adjust to this new environment and new situation and this new experience is really, really important. And don't tell them the answers to all the problems. Again, we want to make sure that they're able to figure things out on their own, and that they're able to become well-rounded individuals, are able to contribute to society. If we are holding them up, holding their hand all the time, it's going to be really hard for them to do things on their own. We have grad students right now that their parents call a lot of different offices. And these students are 25, 30, 40. And you want to make sure that your student is able to call the dentist, call and make a doctor's appointment on their own, just like they should be talking to their professor on their own and figuring out the answers on their own. Next slide. So with that was our formal presentation. So I just have a few reminders for you. We still have more pre-orientation sessions coming. I know that we tried to do like a express of what to expect, but all these other sessions are going to kind of like fill in the blanks for a lot of things that we may have left a gap on. So when we were talking about students being able to like find who they are and getting to know people, and finding groups that are that they could identify with, that's what the next session is going to be about, finding belonging at William Patterson. That's next Thursday at 6 p.m. The Center for Diversity and Inclusion is going to be joining us, and they're going to be going over all the cultural centers that we have on campus, as well as all the different affinity groups. And then that's going to wrap up our sessions for May. And then in June, we have so many sessions back to back. I highly encourage you to attend sessions that you're able to. I know that that may be hard because there may be graduations happening at that time, but I suggest that you register for the session. That way you're able to get the recording, and then watch it at a later time. All these sessions are actually going to set you up for when you come to the in-person orientation so that your experience is more intentional and that you're able to ask more questions that pertain to your specific situation if you do have some. If not, it's just a time for you and your student to have fun, get to know if you could go to the next slide, Jason. For you and your student to have fun, get to know other families, get to know other students, get to know personnel and the resources that they have to offer. And these are the orientation dates. So the first one is July 16th, then July 28th, July 30th, and these are all for first year students. So as you start planning your summer vacations, just make sure that you keep these dates in mind in order for your student to be able to register for them. Next week, hopefully, the RSVPs should start to go out for students to start to register for the orientation dates. So, between now and next week, just have a conversation with your student to see which day is best going to fit your family as far as schedule is concerning. So what to expect during orientation? It's a full day. We start with a check-in like around 8:30. Then we get into different sessions. We split students and family members for the first half of the day. So students go on their own with their orientation leaders. The families stay with me for different sessions. And then we meet back again halfway through. And then we have lunch together. We have other different sessions together. And then in the afternoon, it's kind of like a choose your own experience. And you'll be able to pick and choose what sessions to go to in the afternoon. But it's a fun time. And then I invite you to during orientation to join me at the ice cream social and say hello. That way I could meet you in person. So if you have any questions, contact me, right? I'm your direct contact. While I'm very knowledgeable of a lot of the resources on campus, I'm human. I don't know everything, right? So even if I don't, I'll be able to connect you to the right person. But don't ever feel like your question cannot be answered or that you don't know who to reach out to. Because again, my door or my phone or my Teams or my email, yeah, my email is best actually, is open for you to reach out to me and we'll figure things out together. That's why I'm here for you. Make sure that you're taking advantage of everything that the Family Portal has to offer. Last week we had a session about that. The session is already live on our YouTube channel, so you're able to watch that at your leisure whenever you can. So, and follow us on Instagram, please. That way you could stay connected and also up to date with everything that's happening at the university. And that is all, I believe, so if you could go to the next screen, Jason. Give us your feedback. Let me know what kind of content you want to make sure that you get. Even if we are not covering those things now throughout the summer, I have sessions throughout the academic year where I'm able to bring you different topics like mental health and other resources that we have available. I will send you a link tomorrow, hopefully, with the recording of the session and also with the survey. So just provide me your feedback. So at this time, we're gonna take questions. So there's a lot of stuff that's been happening in the chat. And we've been trying to answer as many questions as possible. But let's see. There were questions about the syllabi, if it was a contract, and it is a contract between the student and the professor, and the student has to adhere to it. Sometimes the syllabus is subject to change, but the syllabus could be like 5 pages long, and all the policies are going to be there: academic integrity, the grading scale, the AI policy, which someone asked about. So while the student may have given you FERPA access, there's technically no way for you to be able to log into a portal and be able to see what those grades are. However, you can call and you could ask the respective offices how your student is doing academically, and if your student is attending classes, if they have given you permission to do so. But what we encourage you to do is to be having those conversations with your student so that they're able to share those grades with you and pull up those unofficial transcripts, because in order to get actual grades, besides their portal where they're able to see their grades, they will have to request a transcript, and that's $10. So again, every time that you want to see grades, you're not going to have your student pay $10. So just, have that honest conversation. You just want to know that they're doing okay, because if they're not, then you want to be able to support them to make sure that they get the right resources and help in order to ensure that they're successful. Let's see.
Can I add something just about FERPA real quick?
Yes.
So FERPA is something that we go over in willpower, and just so you know, they could change it at any time. And what do I mean by that? Just because they do it once doesn't mean it's set in stone. They could do it just for the first week, for the first month, for the first semester, and then they could change it. It's broken down into three categories again: academic, financial, and everything. If you just do academic, it's strictly academic. If they just do financial, it's strictly financial. But if they click everything, then they will see academic, financial, and any student conduct, any type of incident that they may have that is that they experienced, that they were written up for, then you will see it. But just keep in mind, they could say yes, they'll do it right in front of you, and when they get back to school, they could turn it off. And I will tell you, because I deal with this a lot, if any of you were to call me about your son or daughter and say, hey, I would like to speak to them, and I see you're not on FERPA, conversation ends. And I don't do that to be rude. It's just I'd say please touch base with your son or daughter, let them put it in, give you the code, and then we could talk. 9 out of 10 times, the student will just come and talk to you and be like, look, mom, look, dad, this is what happened. And they just disclose everything. It's like verbal diarrhea. But it is also something that proactively we could sit and talk about once they give access about how they're doing academically, is the right major for them, anything in that regards. It could be used in a very positive way as well as just being informative.
So there is a question about when our academic schedule is finalized. They are not finalized until the first day of classes, to be quite honest with you. That's why and you're gonna hear this a lot during orientation, where they tell you don't take a picture of the schedule, because it may be that for some reason, like let's say if they were taking foundation courses and they didn't pass them, now they have to they have to change the schedule in order to sneak in those foundation courses that they didn't pass in the fall semester. So don't take the schedule as face value until the first day of classes, because it may change. maybe there was like a change in instruction time or something like that. So there's a lot of different things, not just the placement, that may be happening in the background, and that's why we always suggest don't wait until the first day of classes to definitely take a screenshot of that schedule. The other thing I want to mention with that is that don't buy textbooks a week ahead. No, please. Textbooks are expensive, way too expensive. So I suggest that wait until the student, unless the professor specifically emailed the student, the class, and let them know that they have an assignment due on that first day and that they need to have the book, then at that point you could safely say, okay, so I need to get this book. But if sometimes the professor just gives the material and you don't need to have a book. When I was an undergraduate student, that happened to me a lot. And the countless amount of books that I have that are just collecting dust here in my bookcase is it's obscene, you know. So please, if you don't have to purchase a textbook, don't do it. Rent the textbook. You can rent it from the bookstore. That way you could save yourself like a couple of $100s.
Can I just add something about the schedules? They will
Mhm.
start coming out sometime mid July, and you may say, "Oh my God, I can't do this," or your son or daughter is going to say, "Commuting." If they're commuting, if they have a job, if they have family, any type of obligations that they currently have, especially if they're working, I can't. They need a schedule change, or the commuting is an issue. To Eva's point, don't reach out to us right away because things are still being finalized and they're just putting students in the classes that match your degree. However, once August 1st starts to roll around the corner, please reach out to the academic advisement office and start to ask them, "Hey, I need my schedule to be changed. How can I go about doing it?" And I say that because we always have students that take public transportation to commute in. Clearly, they can't be here at 8:30 in the morning for a bright and early class if there's no transportation available. Or they can't stay here late at night because there's no transport going home, or there's certain issues with it. If they have to work, if they work in the afternoons and they need the job to maintain their lifestyle, if they need to help support the family, if they have to take care of siblings or pick them up from school, we are fully aware. You will need to reach out early. That's why I say around the first week of August, because in July they are going to be sending out the schedules. But then, sorry, that's my dog. But stop. But then they will be able to make some changes, and we could do it before the start of the semester. So I just want to let you know there is room for change. So my daughter got her schedule ready, so I should tell her it's not final, although yes, please let them know it is not finalized.
So, so there's another question about the schedule. Yes, the schedule is actually a block schedule for the first semester. Then for the spring semester, the student will work with the academic advisor. The academic advisor is going to choose classes that the student should be taking, and advise for those to be on the schedule. And then the student chooses other classes. So it's a collaboration between the two.
And one thing I do want to let you know is that the institution does not, for freshman year, allow students to take asynchronous online classes. And if you do not know what asynchronous classes are, that means you log into Blackboard, which is our online academic platform that we could submit assignments the professors use throughout all our classes, where it is strictly you just follow the syllabus, do the work handed in. We do not do that at all. In extremely rare cases where we need more of a upper level leadership approval, everything will be in person. You will either meet 2 or 3 times a week. Rarely will you ever get a night class, just an FYI. You will get something that is around 8 o'clock in the morning, 8:30, depending on your major, and pretty much throughout the day, Monday through Friday. It is not going to be as packed as high school, so there will be blocks. They may have two classes back to back. And just a heads up, even though there is 10 minutes between each class, the classes are literally downstairs, adjacent building, which is a 2-minute walk. 9 out of 10 times, they stop at like Einstein's, which is our version of a Starbucks, to pick up a snack before they go in. There is plenty of time to get to every class possible. So I don't want you to say, "Oh my God, how are you going to make it here?" You know, they will be fine. Just
Unless
want to
they're
let you know.
traveling to the other campus, and
Not
that's a
freshman year.
different. Oh, okay.
Not freshman year.
So, okay, good. So if a student is taking foundation courses, um, we have to wait for students to finish the class to finalize the schedule. Because if the student doesn't pass the foundation course, they have to retake the course. Now it's going to be a whole semester long, not the condensed version that was for summer. They're going to have to take it in the fall semester. And the hope is that they pass at that time. But they cannot move to college level reading or college level math until they either place in those courses or they pass the summer foundations. Yes, Lisa, yours better pass. All of yours better pass. That's the hope. Okay, I think that's everything. But for now, this is going to conclude our session for this evening. It was a pleasure to have all of you. We will hang around for a little bit in case you have any questions, if that's okay with Sam and Jason. Um, but again, thank you so much for being here, for being part of your student success and ensuring that this is the best possible experience that them and you can have. Thank you.